Hello, my name is Arnesh. I go to Irvington High School, and the project I chose for Boost Engineering Session 2 is to make your own computer game with Unity. So the first step to this project was actually downloading Unity itself. So I had to go to unity.com, which is the Unity website. And what I had to first do to download Unity was to hit Get Started. And this is where we are able to download Unity. So here we have three tabs. What I did was click on Individual, and then you have to go under Personal, which is basically our free version of Unity. So under here you see Personal, and you here we can see that it is the free version of Unity. So here we have to get started, and it is free. So after downloading it, we have our Unity Hub here. So this Unity Hub is where we store our Unity projects. So here we have multiple tabs. The first step was actually installing the Unity editor. So what we had to do is go to installs in the Unity Hub, and what we had to do was install editor. So here we have a button called install editor, and after installing it, as you can see here, we have our Unity editor installed. So our next step comes into creating our new Unity project. So what we had to do is create new project, and this is where we are able to create a project and also choose between 2D and 3D, and also name our project. So in this case, the name of my game in the end is going to be Pac-Man Isle, and I chose a 2D game since this is going to be a 2D game in the end. And after creating it, then we're directed to our Unity editor, and this is where we actually make our game. So the main problem is actually that I'm new to Unity, so I had to spend some time figuring out how the Unity editor works, and all of these assets, all of these like scene window, game window, hierarchy. So to summarize, basically the hierarchy is our game objects. So first of all, we have our sprite here, and our background. So scene window is where we can actually lay out how the game is going to look like. So here are my sprite and the background. When you hit this play, it's going to go to our game window. So the game window is how the game is going to look like when you're playing it. So the first step actually comes into creating the sprite of the main character itself. So what I have to do is use a software called GIMP. This is stands for the GNU Image Manipulation Program, and this is where I created my sprite. So how my game is going to look like in the end is that when my character moves, just like how the original Pac-Man works, Pac-Man switches between closed mouth and open mouth. So when my character moves, it's going to switch between closed mouth and open mouth. So here I have my two animation states I created through GIMP, and here I have my two animation states in a PNG. So the next step actually comes through exporting this file to Unity itself. So after exporting this file, here we have my Unity editor, and I also created a folder called sprites, and this is where my Pac-Man image is. So here I have my Pac-Man image that I have from GIMP, but the next step actually came through getting these two animation states. So here we can see when you click this arrow, we have our two animation states, closed mouth Pac-Man and open mouth Pac-Man. So the first thing we have to do is hit sprite editor, and after figuring out for a while, some time how I was able to get these two, you basically have to hit the slice to get these two animation states. So after getting these two animation states through slicing, now we are able to have our two animation states, as you can see here. So the next step actually came through getting this Pac-Man here to our scene window. So what I have to do is drag it here to our scene window. Here we have our sprite. So this is where I have my main character, which is Pac-Man, or the sprite I had to create. So the next part of this milestone is getting the background to work. So here I have my background. So this is how the background looks like when you're playing the game. So how I got the background was from the Unity Asset Store. So the Unity Asset Store had a background which I can download it. So in this case, I selected this background. So what I chose was the day background. There's multiple backgrounds we could choose from here, but I chose day background, and here is where I had to lay out each of my background. And as you can see here, when I drag my background here, it created a game object. So each of these I grouped under a background. So that's where I was able to get my first milestone, where I was able to get Unity set up. I was able to get my main character or sprite set up, as well as the background set up. So this is how it is going to eventually end up in the end. So the next step is getting my character to move left, right, and also jump.